na noong nasa Subic pa siya yung chairman. Naghiram sila mga empleyado ng 186 million. Ang 86 niyan pumunta sa kanya. Tapos hindi niya nabayaran. And that was about many years ago. Eventually, ang COA flagged him. Tapos inimbestiga siya. Tapos sabi ng COA, ginastos niya ng personal. So it became his personal liability. Pinabayad siya hanggang ngayon, hindi niya binayaran. Nag-appeal siya sa korte hanggang umabot sa Supreme Court. In the Supreme Court, the decisions of the lower courts were affirmed in the sense that pinapabayad talaga siya. Hanggang ngayon, sa Supreme Court, he never obeyed the order sa Supreme Court. Hindi niya binayaran until the judgment became final and executory. Yun ang nangyari. Ngayon, dalawa yan. Kung sa accounting, that would be a disallowance. Meaning to say, pag tinagka disallowance, ginastos mo ng sarili ninyo. Ngayon, pag sa criminal case, sa ombudsman, that is malversation. Ito si Gordon is scoundrel na pa-elect ng pa-elect, payaman ng payaman, lalo na noong ano pa siya, sa Subic pa siya. Kaya nung malaalam natin, nung paalis na si President Ramos, gusto niyang ma-retain chairman dyan sa Subic, sa board. Tapos habol siya ng habol kay Presidente Ramos, hindi siya pinansin. Kaya I remember yung sa TV, yung asawa niya, pati siya, hinabol pa nila sa highway si Ramos. Ramos did not bother to stop, ignored him and his wife, at hindi nila nakuha yung uli na yung sa Subic. Yan ang totoo. Ngayon yung sa inimbestiga nila yung mask. Ang COA nagsabi there was no overprice, that everything was in order, at yun ang tapos wala siyang makuha, kinalkal niya ng husto yung parmalin na at dinawit niya ako doon. Alam mo, sa totoo lang, kung kawatan ako, hindi ako abot na pagka-presidente. Been mayor of forces. Kagaya niya, 23 years, a congressman. Naging vice mayor ako sa anak ko. Nung mayor ako, at ang yan lang yung taga Davao, kasi I have my record to show to everybody. My record as a government worker all these years. Wala akong kaso na malversation kagaya ni. Yan lang ngayon, sige siya daldal ng parmalin, pabalik-balik niya kasi election niya. Alam kasi niya, iyon ang issue na dadalhin ko sa plataforma, sa stage, pag ako ang nagsalita. Kasi talagang hindi na siya karapat-dapat maging senador. Sa katagal niya, na milyonaryo na siya, hindi niya binayaran ang gobyerno, tama na, Gordon. pahinga ka na. Kung nandiyan ka pa, delikado ang pera ng bayan. Totoo lang. Bago ako mag-umpisa, I would just like to give you run you through with the persons who are here sa ating ngayong gabi. Alam ko matagal itong meeting na ito, so dapat lang na malaman ninyo kung sino yung mga tao na nagsisilbi sa inyo. We have Secretary Duque III, then we have Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr., then we have Secretary Eduardo Año, then as always present Director General Rolando Enrique Domingo sa Food and Drug Administration, then si Secretary Medjaldia, Executive Secretary. He might, but that is if he's ready to, he may make a presentation. Nandito si Bongo and si ating ever-present si Vivencio, Secretary Vivencio Dizon. Sila itong tatlo, si Duque, Galvez, pati ito. Sila yung mga tao na who successfully implemented the program, yung giplano namin right at the start of the pandemic na wala pa tayong bakuna noon. And I'd like to remind everybody that when everything was down for us, it was China. For whatever really is masabi nila about the relations about Philippines and China. I would maintain that we are good friends and they were the first one to give us the vaccines. Yung issues dyan sa West Philippines, ibang issue yan. At ibang issue na itong pagkakaibigan natin sa kanila. Now, the second part of my task tonight, kasi may report itong binabasa ko, gusto lang nila basahin ko na, kasi collated ito. About COVID, yung karamihan, yung yaman ang hottest issue ngayon, the COVID. So, gusto nila na basahin ko yung report muna. So, it starts with a good evening to all my countrymen. And I'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. Whether it is really comfortable for you to listen or not, if you are there to know, would want to know what's happening to government, especially I said with the money, yung malalaking big ticket projects, if you want, we can always call our implementers, the secretaries of the different departments. Ang encouraging updates lang sa COVID-19 numbers is sa awa ng Diyos. Since the last time we held our talk to the people on December 6, COVID-19 cases all over the country have averaged below 600 daily, with most of the days tallying just around 300 and 400 cases. Umabot tayo ng libo-libo, pati ang patay. Ngayon po, kukunti na lang ang mga kaso sa COVID. The total number of positive COVID-19 cases in the country has also gone down to just 11. Yung all over the country na to, as of December 13. The occupancy rate of ICU, isolation, and ward beds, as well as the usage rate of ventilators, in Metro Manila and around the country also went down to its lowest levels in the recent months. This has given our hospitals and our hard-working medical frontliners the much-needed breathing space to rest, recover, and recoup their energy and capacity. While these are indeed encouraging developments, I still urge our countrymen to continue observing health protocols. Yan lang yun ang pag-asa natin. Stick to what is right. And the right thing to do is just obey government. Kasi hindi naman kami nagpapadala dito ng papalabas ng mga regulasyon na nakakasira sa tao. It's always for the good for everybody. And get vaccinated. Hanggang ngayon kung wala pa, lalo na itong Omicron, whether it is really vicious or not, hindi pa talaga natin alam. While there are encouraging reports, nababasa ko sa mga magazines, international magazines, that it is not as vicious as itong COVID-19 and the D. So, kung totoo ito, if this is really true, pasalamat na lang tayo. Last Saturday, December 11, more than 3.6 million doses of AstraZeneca and Moderna vaccines procured by the government and the private sector arrived in the country. The delivery followed the more than 2.4 million doses of Pfizer and Moderna vaccines delivered last December 7. The more than 1 million Pfizer vaccines would amount to more than 1.2 million together with the AstraZeneca. All in all, this brings the total number of COVID-19 vaccine doses received by the country to more than 158 million as of December 13. With the arrival of these new batches of vaccines, we hope to accelerate the vaccination of the remaining Filipinos who have yet to take the jabs, as well as to accelerate the injection of booster shots. Yung hinula pa, pati yung pandagdag, pang booster, kailangan yan. Pero safe na tayo. I dare say na kung napawako naka 1 and 2 safe, but it would maybe bring you to a higher level of immunity if you can get the booster. These vaccines will provide us with the much needed resistance from the virus as we enter and partake the activities and celebrations leading to the final weeks of Christmas season and the coming New Year. Sana po. My countrymen, ulitin ko ito kasi ako itong the threat of COVID-19 is real. Hindi sabihin na bakunahan ang karamihang Pilipino or marami o hindi naman lahat. We have yet to arrive at that number. Pero may mga pang na tayo, pang sa Bisaya, pang sagang, i-shield against the virus. Kapag bakunado ka, hindi magiging grabe ang sakit mo. Pero kung hindi ka bakunado, pwede kang ma-ospital at baka mamatay ka pa. Ganun lang kasimple yan. Yan ang mga pangangaral That's the advice of the scientists, yung atin, pati mga doktor lahat. Except for a few, may mga doktor na hindi rin naniwala, hindi rin nagpabakuna. I really am at a loss how to craft an explanation kung ayaw nila. Hindi pa naman nakausap. Pero sabi, meron daw mga doktor. Meron tayong pang booster. Yung pa-booster na kayo para talagang matatag ang katawan natin. Ayaw ninyong mamatay, di ba? Mahirap mag-iwan ng kapatid, asawa, anak, pamilya. So, sundin lang ninyo kasi ito lahat para sa inyo. Para talaga ito sa inyo. Itong programa na ito, kasi pabalik-balik ito, hindi na balik maging gunggong ako dito, sige, balik-balik. Basta maniwala lang kayo at save ang Filipino. Never mind our repetitive and redundant warnings to all of you because that is for your own good and for the good of the country. Last February, December 10, I joined world leaders around the world for the Summit for Democracy convened by President Biden of the United States. During the summit, I reiterated the Philippines' proud distinction as the first ever republic and oldest democracy in Asia. And it remains a vibrant democracy and an open and diverse society to this day. I also stress that while our democracy is far from perfect, it continues to work in progress. The Filipino is free and the Philippines is free. I likewise stated that even as our work continues in the remaining months of my term, my administration will ensure an honest, peaceful, credible, and free elections. At this early, I'd like to not just magbigay lang ng payo that when it comes to the elections, government, the administration, will stand neutral. Neither for or against kami, kalaban o kasama sa partido. We will participate in the exercise of that right, but we will see to it that there will be no terrorism about buying at intimidation and everything that would put a hindrance to an honest election. Lastly, I said that as I step down in June 2022, it will be my highest honor to turn over the reins of power to my successor, knowing that in the exercise of my mandate, I did my best to serve the Filipino people. Reminder again in relation to this, may I implore, para na akong implore, para na akong nakikiusap na halos nagdadasal na lang sa inyo, implore everyone who are participating in large gatherings, whether political in nature or not, to continue exercising utmost caution and prudence in the conduct of your exercises. Remember that we are still in a pandemic situation, and any large gathering may trigger a super spreader event. While we welcome these exercises as concrete and tangible manifestations of our healthy democracy, kindly temper your enthusiasm and act reasonably. So ganito yan, marami tayong problema. Mayroon tayong national emergency. And we do not also want to curtail the right of the people to freely assemble for the redress of grievance or to discuss any matter that is allowable in a democracy. Ang problema dito ganito, hindi ninyo, alala mo yung meeting niya ngayon, mabutit na lang siguro at marami na talagang nabakunahan, medyo na there's a lesser casualty now. But do not tempt the gods. Huwag mong hingiin talaga na ikaw na ang humingi sa umaabot sa atin, aabot, kung hayaan natin na ganito. So I'd like to call the attention of the COMELEC. Kayo man ang ano ngayon, you are the ones supervising the elections. As a matter of fact, you are the one running this show. Hindi ba ninyo, could you not just issue i-maintain lang yung social distance? Hindi na ba ano karami? Punuin mo yung luneta as long as you maintain the regulations imposed by government. Kasi mahirap po ito kung magbalik. It might come back with vengeance. Babalik itong sakit na ito, baka magrabe pa. We are not out of the woods. The virus still there. Yung status natin na national emergency nandyan pa. So, hanggang talagang safe na, the doctors will say and the scientists will tell us that it is safe to move around and go out and mingle again in a crowd. Well, hintayin muna natin yan. In the meantime, let us not presuppose that since there has been a vaccine available to all, do not ever presume na wala na yung danger of recontamination. Ngayon dito tayo sa Baguio. In an advisory yesterday, December 12, Pag-asa, Weather Bureau has informed the public that the low pressure area east of the Philippine area of responsibility has developed into a tropical depression and may further intensify into a tropical storm within the next 24 hours. So, wala sigurong biyahe ngayon. I direct our government agencies and LGUs as well as to urge our countrymen, especially those who are on or near its projected path, to keep monitoring the situation and conduct all necessary preparations and precautions. Nandiyan naman yan. Yung dadaanan ng bagyo, lumalabas dyan sa newspaper, pati sa TV. All you have to do is to watch TV and makita mo yung trajectory ng takbo ng bagyo. So, kung malapit kayo dyan, medyo umalis na muna kayo. Especially if the Pag-asa, the Weather Bureau would say, umalis kayo dyan sa lugar na yan kasi dyan tatama. yung precautions, ano lang ninyo, sundin lang ninyo. May Tagalog mo ito. Mga kababayan, ipagpatuloy lang natin ang mga mga kababayan, ipagpatuloy lang natin ang ibayong pag-ingat laban sa virus at palagi nating sundin ang minimum public health standards at health protocols sa lahat ng pagkakataon, sa lahat ng oras. Should the current positive trend we see continue, dagdagan mo ng God willing, and we as citizens remain cooperative with the government and health authorities, we will have a merrier and happier Christmas and New Year and fully overcome this pandemic. Maraming salamat. Huwag mo yung magandang gabi. Wala pa. Hindi pa tayo tapos. Malayo pa. Let's have an update to be given to us by Secretary Duque.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. President. Magandang gabi. Magandang gabi po kay Ginoong Senator Bongo, ES Medialdea at mga kasama ko po sa kabinete. Ang akin pong iuulat ngayon, with your permission, Mr. President, ay tungkol po sa idaraos na Bayanihan Bakunahan 2, ligtas, lakas buong Pinas sa darating na December 15 to 17, 2021. Next slide. Kami ay patuloy na tumatanggap ng mga voluntaryo or volunteers para sa ating pong National Vaccination Day 2. At hinihikayat namin ang ating mga next generation heroes o mga empleyado ng gobyerno, ang pribadong sektor at ang civil society na makilahok bilang bahagi ng ating vaccination teams sa ating pong 18 priority areas. So, andyan po yung mga nakasulat, mga lugar na madi-deploy ang ating pong mga volunteers para po sa round 2 of our massive 3-day vaccination activities. Next slide. Ang lahat po ng gagastusin ng ating pong mga volunteers ay sasagutin ng gobyerno at hintayin lamang ang kumpirmasyon ng inyo pong pagboboluntaryo sa National Vaccination Days 2 at suporta sa inyong mga bayarin at transportasyon at accommodation kung kinakailangan mula sa mga sumusunod na ahensya. Sa DOH, kung ikaw ay empleyado ng DOH Central Office, Regional Offices at mga ospital. Sa kanilang mga opisina, kung ikaw ay empleyado ng ibang mga ahensya ng gobyerno, at sa DOH Centers for Health Development para sa mga empleyado ng pribadong sektor at mga individual. Next. Ang ating pong National Vaccination Operation Center ay maglalabas din ng advisory ukol sa inaasahan pagpasok ng bagyong Odette sa ating bansa, kasabay na ang pagpapatupad ng Bayanihan Bakunahan 2, kasama sa advisory po ang mga sumusunod. Pagkatapos po ng aking pag-uulat, Mr. President, si Secretary Vince Dizon at si Secretary Galvez at kami po kasama si Secretary Ed Anyo ay nagkasundo na magrekomenda po na itong bagyong Odette na paparating at mukhang magiging tropical storm ay kami po ay nagrekomenda na ang ating National Vaccination Part 2 ay ipopospone muna natin doon sa mga dadaanan po ng bagyo from December 15, 16, 17 ay gagawin po natin sa December 20, 21, 22. At ito pong dadaanan ng bagyo, batay po sa mga pinakahuling ulat mula sa Pag-asa, ay posible pong Northern Mindanao ang Central and Eastern Visayas at ang Southern Tagalog region ay hindi po na muna natin itutuloy ang bakunahan dahil kailangan po mailayo sa peligro ang ating po mga kababayan sa panahon nitong bagyong Odette. So Mr. President, ang rekomendasyon po namin ay ang Calabarzon and northern central and northern Luzon. Yan po ang atin munang ipagpapatuloy ang bayanihan, bakunahan part 2, Mr. President. So, sisiguraduhin po natin ang kaligtasan ng ating mga health worker, volunteers at magpapabakuna sa darating na bakunahan. Kaya naman, maaaring magkaroon po tayo ng gaya ng sinabi kong posibleng suspension sa bakunahan. Pero mamaya po ay kailangan po ay kung pwedeng madesisyonan na po ito, Mr. President, with your permission. So ikalawa, inaasahan ng mga local vaccine operation centers na ipatupad ang kanilang mga contingency plans upang mapanatili ang kalidad ng ating mga bakuna sa kabila ng banta ng bagyong Odette. And lastly, Mr. President, muli hinihikayat namin ang lahat na makiisa sa ating bayanihan